There's something deeply unsettling about an empty nursery, especially one that sings to you in the dead of night. When I brought home an antique crib, I never expected lullabies to drift through the dark, or to hear a baby crying, even though I live alone. My dog won't go near the room, and every night the whispers grow louder. This isn't just a haunting, it's a memory that refuses to die. Before we begin, tell me, where in the world are you listening from tonight? Let me know in the comments, because no matter where you are, some echoes never fade. It started the night I assembled the old wooden crib my great-aunt Clara left me. The house was quiet and empty, and I'd been tired after a long day unpacking boxes in my new apartment. But as soon as I tightened the last bolt, I heard it, a lullaby, soft and distant, echoing from the dark nursery. At first I couldn't believe it. There's no baby here, I thought. My heart flipped in my chest. I froze in the hallway, listening as the gentle song slowly faded into silence. My ears rang, and I stood staring at the closed nursery door in a daze. Then something hit me like a ton of bricks. Clara was dead. My great-aunt Clara had died in this house 2 years ago, leaving me everything she owned, including that old wooden crib. Clara had never had children of her own. She'd invested all her love in me. I remembered staying with her when I was a child, and hearing her soft lullabies at night when I couldn't sleep. Now it was midnight, and that same lullaby seemed to fill the room. The realization made me shiver. It felt impossible. I pinched the bridge of my nose, trying to clear the fog of panic. I told myself it must be a mistake, maybe a neighbor's old radio, or a delay in my own memory. I even checked my phone to make sure no recording was playing, no message app left open. In the silence I could hear the hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen, but no hint of music. I scanned the empty hallway. Nothing moved, not a shred of proof. Perhaps I dozed off next to the stereo earlier and imagined it. No, I hadn't even turned on any music. Logic slipped away like water through fingers. Behind me, Pippin let out another whine. The poor dog would normally be barking if someone intruded. Instead, he just sat there trembling at the foot of the stairs, fixing his big brown eyes on the nursery door. I knelt beside him. "It's okay, boy," I murmured, ruffling his coarse black fur. Even he sensed the strange chill in the air. We both stood by that door for a long moment, neither of us daring to move toward it. Finally, I told myself to forget it. It was nothing. I straightened up, unlocked my phone, and headed back to my bedroom. Once inside, I locked the door and dropped to the floor, heart hammering. The rest of the night passed in a blur. I sat on the bed, curled under the blankets, feeling both foolish and terrified. Every little creak of the old apartment sounded like a footstep. By dawn, I was exhausted and drenched in cold sweat. The only thing I was sure of was that something was in that nursery, something I couldn't explain with science or reason. In the harsh light of morning, I tried to laugh it off. I made myself a strong cup of coffee and shoved boxes into a closet to give myself something to do. I even decided to put the crib on a higher shelf for the day, make it less noticeable to myself. I had known Clara my whole life. She was family, even if only by marriage, and kind in a quiet, old-fashioned way. She had loved me dearly. I was practically her own daughter. She often called me her little girl. Knowing that lullaby now had her voice in it felt like being jerked back to those childhood nights when I felt safe no matter what. She was supposed to be at peace in heaven, not singing behind a door. Clara's absence became a strange sort of company. As I dusted the empty nursery, Clara's perfume, a soft lavender, still lingered faintly on the dresser. It was like she was somewhere just out of sight. That morning, I found myself humming the lullaby, Clara used to sing, and a knot twisted in my stomach. I tried to remember the last time I heard that song. Then I recalled she'd sing it when I was a child missing her home on summer nights. The thought of those good memories in that moment only made the house feel colder. I spent the day, otherwise occupied with mundane tasks. At work, though, I couldn't concentrate. My mind played that lullaby on loop. In staff meetings, I'd catch myself quietly humming, then snap to attention. I even wandered into a baby store on my lunch break, absent-mindedly scanning cribs and diapers, though I'm not married and never mentioned a child to anyone. But something about the pastel hues and soft blankets felt comforting, a stark contrast to the dread lurking in my apartment. I managed to smile at a toddler playing with a toy on the floor before hurrying back to my desk, cheeks flushed. That night I slept very lightly. I set up a small digital recorder on a shelf in the nursery, a far corner away from the crib. If the lullaby returned, I wanted proof, rational evidence. My phone was charged and sitting out of the room. I lay awake on my sofa with the lights on and Pippin at my side, earplugs in, listening. At exactly 3:07 a.m., the lullaby started again. This time it was unmistakable, slow, crooked notes drifting down the hallway. Pippin sprang to his feet, hackles raised and ears perked. He whined softly, then growled low. The door to the nursery sat right in front of me, closed and solid. The song ended as mysteriously as it began. I crept to the recorder, heart pounding, and found it still blinking red. My hands shook as I pressed stop. In the morning, I played back the recording. At first, I heard only my own ragged breathing, then a single soft note of a music box, like a lullaby melody, then silence. It was a letdown, as if nothing had happened. But as I listened again, there was something else. Through the white noise, I caught a faint scraping, like little fingernails across wood. It was so quiet, I'd almost missed it. I replayed it 3 times, eyes wide. After that momentary crackle, the track was empty. My instinct screamed that it wasn't my imagination. The nursery had something to say, even if only in static. The lullaby didn't come every night, but when it did, each time felt more real. The phone calls I left for rational explanations all went unanswered. Did you maybe fall asleep listening to a podcast? Now I know you've gone nuts, she joked. She didn't come by. My friend Maria, a skeptic, blamed sound delay from the radio, which made me want to scream into her voicemail. I checked wires, covers, speakers, everything in that room. The night light in the corner blinked on low. There was no Wi-Fi speaker hidden. By day, I roamed around, feeling unsettled. One afternoon, I decided to confront the mess head-on. I entered the nursery, with the lights blasting on high. The room looked just as I left it. The antique rocking chair by the wall, the pastel wallpaper of faded clouds, the tiny knitted blanket, neatly folded on the changing table. The crib, now assembled, held only an empty mattress. Sunlight leaked through the curtains. I let out a shaky breath. Maybe I was turning into my own ghost, paranoid and lost. I picked up my camera and took pictures. In every shot, the nursery looked empty and benign. On the last photo, I noticed a smear on the crib's side rail I hadn't seen with my eyes. Leaning in, I saw it was not blood, but a sticky brown stain, like cocoa. No, like dried formula or milk. We didn't have any baby formula. I rubbed my fingers on it, and it smeared off with a dull squelch. My stomach did a flip. I looked around and realized on the rocking chair seat was a single baby sock. It was clean, and surprisingly well made, likely a hand-knitted keepsake. I didn't remember buying or seeing any socks before. The sock alone on the old chair was too deliberate to ignore, as if someone set it there carefully. The writing was now on the wall, literally. Later that night, I heard a scratching behind me. I whipped around, but the room was still. I rushed out, and on the nursery wall, found letters scrawled as if with a tiny finger. "Where are you, Mama?" The paint around the words was slightly damp, as if freshly traced. My throat closed. That moment, a soft whimper, unmistakably a child's whimper, came from inside the nursery, followed by a small sniffle and one last sob. My knees buckled, and I nearly fell. Pippin slipped back inside. Whimpering, I gathered myself somehow, promising the darkness that I would not abandon her. The next morning, I felt a strange resolve. I took out Clara's old photo albums and baby books from a forgotten drawer. There was a small bundle of journals too. By the first journal entry I opened, tears were blurring the ink. Clara had documented years of disappointment and hope. In one fragile page, she had taped a faded Polaroid. In it, a younger Clara cradled a rag doll in the same rocking chair, handwritten below, in shaky script, "My waiting one." My fingers trembled on the picture. Another page held her baby names list. Out of the dozens of names scratched out or circled, one name repeated: Lily. Clara had imagined a daughter named Lily. The lullaby I heard rang a sad echo. Was this the song she used to sing to an imaginary Lily? I felt sick. I forced myself to live normally. I stocked the pantry, did laundry, tried to smile. At night, I used earplugs and ran a fan for white noise. Nothing silenced the knocking in my heart. Each time the clock neared 3 a.m., I asked Pippin to stay by me in bed. He did, but often woke and scratched at the nursery door in alarm. I even put on a recorded prayer track, but it only masked the lullaby for a minute, before the crying returned in a sobbing, "Mama." One midnight, I accidentally fell asleep in my clothes on the nursery floor, sitting against the crib. I woke at dawn to find it was morning. The sock on the rocking chair was back on the floor, and damp from dew, as if the baby had stepped out and come back in. At last, Teresa came to stay with me. She wasn't a believer in anything supernatural, but on seeing my terrified face, she agreed to spend the night. We put mattresses on the living room floor and held onto each other under blankets. Around 3:06 a.m., once again the lullaby crawled down the hall. We both bolted upright, hearts thundering. "Stay here," I whispered. I crept to the bedroom door and dared to peek out. In the dim light I saw nothing but swirling dust. "It's okay," I hissed, more to myself than her. The lullaby faded. I turned back. Teresa was pale, eyes wide. She hugged me and said quietly, "We need to help her." The next morning, our plan was desperation. I called a psychic medium who specialized in lost children. Mrs. Holloway arrived mid-afternoon with a kit of sage and crystals. My apartment smelled of incense as she led me through a calming chant. In the nursery, she gasped and closed her eyes. "Her name is Lily," she said. My heart hit my throat. "She feels lost, searching for Mama. She's right here, so close." Shivers crawled down my spine as she placed a small, steady hand over her heart. She hadn't even asked me anything. It was as if Lily chose the name herself through the medium. Tears ran down my face as I knelt by the crib. Mrs. Holloway told me to softly say Lily's name and promise to care for her. In the quiet, I did. "Lily, I'm here for you," I whispered. That night, I sat on the nursery floor and wept softly, awaiting any sign. Moonlight spilled in, cool and still. I heard nothing at first, but then on the recorder I played some simple childhood lullabies, one by one, each note floating in the darkness. At last I heard a response, Lily's whisper, too faint to pick up on the phone speaker, barely heard in my head. Mama. I blinked in the dark, realizing my own softly crushed sobs. But unlike all the nights before, there was something in her tone I hadn't recognized, a note of hope, of relief. On a dare, I spoke to the emptiness. I'm here, Lily. I have you now. The room responded with silence for a few heartbeats. Then a single gentle chime of the music box on the dresser crackled to life for a brief measure. In that sound I felt Lily's acknowledgement. Pippin, who was sleeping in his bed, yawned and stretched. The air felt lighter than it had in months. Morning broke with an unusual warmth. I found the nursery peaceful. Lily didn't answer when I whispered her name in the dark corners, but neither did she cry or sob anymore. Now, the lullaby came only when I chose a song to play, and the crying had turned to soft coos I could imagine her making. During the day, I cleaned the old crib and nursery, singing children's rhymes, as if rocking Lily to sleep. I left her toys neatly arranged. It was as if the house no longer felt haunted, but waiting. Even then, some nights, I would doze off on the nursery floor with the music box playing. More than once, I awoke to find I had imagined a soft hand on my shoulder, or saw a twinkle of curls in the corner of my eye. Before blinking into empty space, Pippin became used to it too. He no longer whimpered at the door, though he still sometimes nudged at it for pets. Eventually I did move out of that apartment into a larger home, but before I left, I held a small, informal goodbye ceremony for Lily in that nursery. I hugged Clara's crib once more, whispered goodbye, and promised I would always remember this little girl who had needed a mama. We closed the door one last time. Now in my new home, nights are quieter, and my bed is warm with Pippin beside me. Still, sometimes when the house is dark, I think I catch the faintest echo of a lullaby on the breeze. If I do, I smile and hum along. The nursery may be empty again, but I know Lily found some peace knowing I listened. And if I ever hear that lullaby one more time, I would answer, as gently as before, I'm here, sweetheart. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. Some stories cling to you long after the screen goes dark. And this one, it just might follow you into your dreams. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, some echoes are too real to ignore. If you enjoyed tonight's tale and want more true horror, unsettling encounters, and sleepless nights, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more chilling stories every week. Hit the bell so you never miss the next haunting moment. Until then, keep your doors locked, your lights on, and your mind open.